Whoa. What is up, everybody? Piscean X here, and I'm starting out with a bang on this video because I'm drunk. I drank 2 cans of 8.4% alcohol, Excelsior Imperials. Shout out alcohol, shout out liquor, shout out motor fuel and poison. I love getting drunk and intoxicated. Anyways, not while I'm driving, of course, for all legal means and purposes. I don't even have a fucking license or car. But if I did, I would not drive drunk, ever. Anyways, welcome back to the Machina Coalistis, a systematic exposition of advanced astrological mechanics. This is volume 4, the bestiary of the spheres, and we're going to talk about the mechanics of animal astrology and the celestial bond between species. This is my last volume installment in my conceptual anthology. If you haven't seen my other 3 videos, please check them out with peace and love. Subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare and care. And now let's get started on the video. So I'll give you a quick forward to volume 4. Now don't mind the fact that the colors are still, not the exact colors that they should be. But I'll fix that in the next video, hopefully. So, having delineated the human-centered mechanics of death, love, and wealth in the preceding volumes, we now expand the celestial lens to encompass the non-human world. The animal kingdom, furred, finned, scaled, and feathered, is not beneath the stars' notice. The same celestial machinery that governs the rise and fall of empires, the flowering of romance, and the accumulation of coin also shapes the instincts, behaviors, and destinies of beasts. The ancient astrologers knew this. For example, Claudius Ptolemy. If you don't know who Claudius Ptolemy is, get the fuck off this channel. No, I'm joking. Look him up and do some research. Honestly, astrology is a fucking science. Ptolemy listed the zodiacal rulerships of animals. The Babylonian Mo-Epin tablets correlated constellations with species, and the medieval bestiaries were astrological texts in disguise, mapping the soul of each creature to a planetary archetype, which I will show you and demonstrate in more context in the rest of the video. So this video is the 4th in this volume, the series. It constructs a rigorous astrological mechanics of animal life, from the domestic cat purring on a lap to the great whale sounding in the abyss. It answers specific questions that have puzzled both pet owners and naturalists, most famously the feline fascination with human menstrual blood, a phenomenon we shall dissect with astrological, biological, and celestial rigor. But beyond that, it provides a systematic framework for understanding the astrological signature of different species, the synastry between human and animal, the use of lunar mansions and fixed stars in animal behavior, and the ecological astrology that governs entire populations of wild creatures. The viewer will find herein a thorough integration of traditional animal rulerships, modern astrobiology, and the sophisticated interpretive techniques of the Empyrean Academy. So, we treat the animal not as a lesser being, but as a fellow traveler through the zodiac, whose chart, whether cast for a birth, a litter, or a species, reveals the divine order in flesh and instinct. Thank you. Alright, so our introduction here is the Anima Mundi and the beast, and I talk about the Anima Mundi quite a bit on the channel, so I'm almost close to 900 videos, ladies and gentlemen. I have been working my ass off to get these videos out, to tell you astrology for free, to teach you astrology for free. Not even tell you, instruct you. But alas, the world's soul, the Anima Mundi of Plato, ensouls all life. The stars are the body of that soul, and every creature embodies a particular planetary or zodiacal energy. The lion, for example, is the sun in Leo, and the dog, Mercury or Sirius, the cat, the moon, the serpent, the scorpionic Mars. And these are not mere metaphors, they are operational signatures that describe the creature's innate astrological wiring. When we cast a chart for an animal, we use the same celestial grammar as for a human, translated into instinct and ecological niche. But I will say this, animal astrology then is not a novelty but a restoration. The ancients practiced it. The medieval Islamic astrologers wrote of the Hayawan and its rulings. And this volume reclaims that knowledge and extends it into a full machinery organized into 10 modules. Yes, so if you haven't seen my other videos and I'm going over this and it's hard for you to understand, I've used modules to essentially categorize every single subject matter that I want to go over in detail. Excuse me. Goddamn hard cider. Goddamn alcohol. Making me belch. So the natal chart of the animal. We're going to talk about the foundation and the method. So can an animal have a natal chart? Well, we already answered this kind of, but let's go in more detail. The answer is clearly yes, as it is right here. Any entity that enters existence at a specific moment in time and space has a natal chart, be it a calf, a kitten, a sparrow, or a whale. The chart is cast for the exact time of birth or hatching using the location. For litters, each offspring may share a close birth time but can have slightly different ascendants, producing distinct temperaments within the sibling bond. For animals whose birth time is unknown, the majority, the astrologer may use a sunrise chart, or more effectively, rectification based on known life events, if available, or a chart derived from the first meeting with the human, the adoption chart, which functions as a relationship event chart. So we can even say this is composite animals synastry. When we bring humans and animals together, this is what we're doing. We're making a chart dedicated to the two living beings that are dwelling in the house together, the apartment, whatever the case may be. Alright, so the zodiacal rulership of animals. Well, the classical system assigns each zodiac sign and planet to specific animals, and this is the foundation of the bestiary. So we have table Alpha 1 shows us zodiacal animal correspondences, traditional and extended. So what I'm going to do here is show you the zodiac sign, the ruling planet, the animals, and the why. So we have our zodiac signs here, like Aries and Taurus. So Aries is Mars. It's rams, sheep, all-horned ruminants, also bold head-butting creatures. And it's the head, horns, aggressive impulse. Taurus is Venus, alright? It's cows, bulls, oxen, all bovine, also slow, heavy mammals like the elephant. So it's body mass, earthiness, and fertility, alright? Moving on, we're going to go all the way down to Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, of course. And we're going to switch the colors up just for fun. Alright, so Gemini is Mercury. Monkeys, parrots, songbirds, any mimics, twins or social insects, mimicry, pair bonds, communication. Cancer is the moon, so crabs, crustaceans, turtles, all shell-bearing animals. Also, the cat is sacred to the moon. So protective shell and lunar tide rhythms. Leo is the sun, so lions, large felines, tigers, panthers, peacocks, any radiant regal beasts, solar glory, mane, kingly presence. Virgo is Mercury, domesticated small animals like rabbits, hamsters, bees, ants, all insects that work and harvest. Industry, small size, service to the hive. Libra is Venus, doves, swans, gazelles, graceful pairing animals, partnership, beauty, balance. Scorpio is Mars, Pluto, scorpions, serpents, spiders, rats, any venomous or taboo creatures, sting, poison, underworld. Sagittarius is Jupiter, horses, centaurs, mythologically, deer, stags, all fast-running, free-roaming herbivores, speed, freedom, migration. Capricorn is Saturn, goats, all caprids, also the mountain dwellings, sure-footed, the tortoise as long-lived, endurance, heights, salt of the earth. Aquarius is Saturn, Uranus, exotic birds, electric eels, flying fish, any bizarre or alien species, strangeness, group flight, futurism. Pisces is Jupiter and Neptune, all fish, aquatic mammals, dolphins, whales, jellyfish, any deep sea or dissolving life creatures. It's oceanic unity and dissolution of form. Alright, so now that we've gone over our zodiacal signs and our animals, We know that these correspondences are but a starting point. A specific animal may have a mixed rulership based on its appearance, for example the platypus, Aquarius with a touch of Capricorn and Pisces. The astrologer's art lies in discerning the dominant planetary signature. The animal ascendant and its lord. The ascendant and its ruler describe the animal's physical form and instinctive behavior. An Aries ascendant cat will be more aggressive, independent, and prone to head injuries, while a Pisces ascendant dog will be dreamy, sensitive, and may enjoy water. The house placement of the ascendant ruler indicates the environment the animal thrives in. Alright, feline astrology. The moon, the cat, and the scent of blood. Here we address the famous mystery. Why do cats react to menstrual blood? And more broadly, what is the astrological constitution of the domestic cat? I'm very interested in this, alright? I would like to understand it. So, the astrological constitution of the cat. Cats are universally assigned to the moon. And this is not only because of their nocturnal habits, their gleaming eyes that reflect the lunar light, and their inscrutable emotional fluidity, but because the cat's entire sensory apparatus is tuned to the subtle currents governed by the moon. So the tides, magnetic fields, and the pheromonal landscape of the night. The moon in astrology rules the mother, the home, the subconscious, and the rhythms of the body, including menstruation. The cat, as a creature of the lunar sphere, is uniquely attuned to these cycles. In terms of zodiacal subrulership, cats carry a strong Scorpio-Pluto undertone due to their predatory nature, their silence, their ability to stalk into the underworld of the unseen. Thus, the feline is a Moon-Scorpio hybrid, the emotional sensitivity of the moon fused with the penetrative instinct of Scorpio. This explains their fascination with blood, not only menstrual, but any blood, which to them is a powerful scorpionic substance carrying the moon's essence of life and death. The mechanics of the menstrual scent attraction. From a purely physiological perspective, menstrual blood contains a complex bouquet of pheromones, iron-rich hemoglobin, and endometrial tissue. Cats possess the vomeronasal organ, Jacobson's organ, on the roof of their mouth, allowing them to taste, smell the air with exquisite sensitivity. But why the intense interest, the sniffing, the kneading, sometimes the peculiar vocalizations? The meow, meow, meow. Whatever, I'm not a very good meower. So the astrological mechanics provide a deeper answer. The woman's menstrual cycle is ruled by the moon, and the cat's own lunar nature creates a resonant chamber. When a woman menstruates, her lunar essence, the cyclical shutting of the womb, emits a powerful astral signal that the cat perceives. The cat is not merely smelling blood, it is reading the moon's transit in the woman's body. The moon in the cat's own natal chart, if known, will be activated by the lunar phase of the woman's cycle, creating a synastry event that draws the animal's attention. In traditional terms, the woman's moon is calling to the cat's moon. Moreover, in scorpionic terms, the scent of blood signals a small death, the unfertilized egg, and thus triggers the cat's instinct for predation, or more often its nurturing instinct, as the cat may interpret the scent as a wound or a birth. Cats will often need the abdomen of a menstruating woman, a behavior originating in kittenhood, to stimulate milk flow. Astrologically, this is the moon's maternal aspect activated by the sign of Cancer, the ruler of the breasts and stomach, and the woman's vicinity, and the cat, as a lunar familiar, responds with the corresponding nurturing ritual. We have a case study, the menstrual chart in a cat's decumbiture. Suppose we cast a decumbiture chart for the moment a cat begins obsessively sniffing. So we often find the transiting moon in Scorpio or Cancer tightly aspecting the cat's natal Venus scent and attraction, or the woman's natal moon. If the cat's chart is unavailable, the woman's own chart will show transiting Pluto, Scorpio's ruler, activating her sixth house of pets. The mechanism is one of lunar resonance. We provide a table of lunar phase correlations observed in our Institute's feline behavior logs. So here we have table beta 2, feline reaction intensity by lunar phase and woman's sign. We look at the woman's moon sign. We look at the lunar phase, lunar phases of the menses and cat reaction intensity 1 through 5, as well as common behavior. Oops. Right. So Scorpio, new moon, 5. intense sniffing, kneading, protective posture, possible marking. Cancer, full moon, 4, nurturing, cuddling, purring, licking. Aries, waning crescent, 3, curiosity, pouncing, less nesting. Pisces is balsamic moon, 5, melding, sleeping on abdomen, trance-like state. Capricorn, first quarter, 2, disinterested sniff, then aloofness. Thus, the feline attraction to menstrual blood is an astrologically intelligible event rooted in the lunar constitution of the cat, activated by the cyclical moon of the human female. Canine astrology, the dog star and the bond of service. Let's talk about Sirius and the dog. The fixed star Sirius, by the way, in case you didn't know. That's a shitty star. There we go. Dogs are ruled by Mercury for their trainability, communication, and trickster nature, and secondarily by Jupiter for their loyalty, expansiveness, and joy. But above all, the fixed star Sirius, Alpha Canis Majoris, is the celestial archetype of the dog. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky, located at 14 degrees 05 Cancer in 2026. A dog born with the sun, moon, or ascendant conjunct Sirius is especially noble, faithful, and prone to fame, or in the wild, leadership of the pack. Sirius brings heat, sometimes causing the dog days of summer madness, but also a fierce protective instinct. Dogs react to menstrual blood differently than cats. Their Mercury-ruled curiosity may lead to sniffing, but the reaction is often more investigative and less lunar mystical. However, a dog with a strong moon in its natal chart, especially in Cancer, may also exhibit increased protectiveness or clinginess as the moon triggers its instinct to guard a vulnerable member of the pack. Let's talk about the astrology of canine behavior. Dogs with a prominent Mars, like Aries, Mars in the first, will be territorial and prone to aggression. Those with Venus strong, like Libra, Taurus, will be gentle and social. In a dog's 6th house, health and service, and the 11th house, pack social groups, are critical in understanding its relationship to the human family. The human-dog synastry often features a dog's Jupiter conjoining the human's ascendant, an aspect of unconditional joy. Alright, let's talk about the astrology of domesticated livestock. Cattle, sheep, goats, horses. These animals have shaped human civilization, and their astrological signatures are deeply interwoven with human economic and agricultural cycles. Cattle, Taurus, Venus. The bovine is Venusian Earth. Its chart will emphasize the 2nd house, wealth in the form of livestock. Transits to the herd's composite Taurus placements can affect milk production and fertility. The fixed star Aldebaran, the bullseye, brings prosperity to a herd under its beam, but also potential for disease if afflicted. Horses, Sagittarius, Jupiter. Horses are Sagittarian, freedom-loving, swift, and noble. A racehorse's chart with Jupiter in the 9th house, trine Mars, indicates speed and long journeys. The part of speed, ascendant adding Mars, subtracting moon, can be used to elect favorable racing times. And goats, Capricorn, Saturn, hardy, independent with a Saturnine capacity for survival on meager fare. Their charts often show a strong 10th house, mountains, heights, and a Saturn-Mars blend that confers climbing skill and stubbornness. The astrology of wildlife: aquatic, desert, mammalian, and avian. Aquatic life: Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. So the ocean is the womb of the moon and Neptune. Fish are ruled by Pisces, Neptune, their collective motion by the moon, tides. Whales and dolphins, with their complex songs and social structures, exhibit a strong Mercury-Jupiter synastry with Neptune. A whale's beach stranding can sometimes be correlated with a solar eclipse on the Pisces-Virgo axis, disrupting the magnetic navigation governed by the moon and Earth's field. Desert life: Capricorn, Aries, Virgo. Creatures of extreme climates: camels, scorpions, fennec foxes carry the signatures of Mars, heat, survival, Saturn, endurance, scarcity, and sometimes Mercury, adaptation. A desert animal's chart will feature an emphasis on the 6th house, survival routines, and the 10th, the harsh public environment. The fixed star Eterna at the end of the river Eridanus is associated with desert oases and the deep wilderness. Avian astrology: our air triplicity, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Birds correspond to the air element. Migratory patterns are astrologically timed to the ingress of the sun into cardinal signs. A species' collective natal chart can be erected from the first sighting of the season, and its Venus placement will describe its mating dances, its Mercury placement, its song. Let's talk about synastry between human and animal, the celestial pet bond. The relationship between a human and a pet is a genuine astrological synastry. The most powerful interaspects for bonding are moon, trine, or conjunction. Deep emotional attunement: the animal feels like family. Sun ascendant context: the pet reflects the owner's identity. Venus Jupiter aspects: mutual adoration and joy. Saturn's sun, long-lasting commitment, sometimes heavy responsibility. Choosing a pet astrologically involves comparing the owner's sixth house pets and the animal's first house itself, as well as the electional chart for the moment of adoption. The part of pets, ascendant, adding moon, subtracting Mercury, can be calculated in the owner's chart. Transits to it often coincide with the arrival of a significant animal companion. Lunar mansions and animal behavior. The 28 lunar mansions described in Volume 1 have specific animal associations. The moon's passage through a mansion can trigger certain animal behaviors. For instance, Mansion 5, the white spot, associated with cats, when the moon transits, feline creatures become more active, vocal, or seek high places. Mansion 6, the scar, associated with dogs, pack behavior intensifies. Mansion 18, the heart, Scorpio's heart, serpents, and venomous creatures become more active as the moon activates the plutonic current. Mansion 27, the southern fish, fish and aquatic life respond to subtle tidal forces. Ritual hunters and farmers in antiquity used these mansions to time the hunt or to slaughter, ensuring the animal spirit was released under a favorable portal. Fixed stars of the animal kingdom. Beyond Sirius and Aldebaran, many stars carry explicit animal archetypes. Procyon, Alpha Canis Minoris, 25 degrees 47 Cancer. The little dog brings playfulness and alertness to house pets. Betelgeuse, Alpha Orionis, 28 degrees 45 Gemini. The shoulder of the giant associated with large, noble beasts. Antares, 9 degrees 46 Sag, heart of the scorpion, rules venomous creatures and the instinct to strike. Fomalhaut, 3 degrees 52 Pisces, the fish's mouth, guardianship of the seas and all aquatic life. Regulus, 29 degrees 50 Leo, the lion's heart, royal animal authority. Capella, 21 degrees 51 Gemini, the she-goat, protector of flocks and fecundity. When an animal's planet or ascendant is conjunct one of these stars, its behavior will embody the stellar myth. A horse with Mars on Antares may be a fierce war horse. A cat with Moon on Procyon may be unusually canine-friendly. The menstrual blood question, a synthesis. We return in depth to the feline menstruation mystery. Having now established the broader astrozoological framework, we can summarize the causal mechanism. Lunar kinship. Cats and women share the moon as primary governor. The menstrual cycle is a direct expression of the moon's 29.5-day phase cycle. The cat's instinctive body recognizes this rhythm through its own lunar attunement. Olfactory astrology. Scent is ruled by Venus and the element of Earth, but the information carried by scent. The pheromonal signature of ovulation and menses is an astral message sent by the woman's natal moon to the cat's natal moon or to transiting moon. The cat's vomeronasal organ is a biological astrology tool, reading the chemical poetry that the moon writes in blood. Evolutionary imprint. The cat's wild ancestors were drawn to the scent of birth and after birth as a signal of potential prey, the placenta, or the need to protect the young. The menstrual scent triggers a vestigial form of this instinct. Nurturing reflex. The kneading, making biscuits, is a lunar Cancer action, massaging the mother's belly for milk. The cat perceives the woman undergoing an internal labor of shedding. Astrological trigger. When a woman's natal moon makes a hard aspect, square opposition to her own natal Pluto or transiting Pluto, the menses can be more intense, and the cat's reaction correspondingly more dramatic. The most powerful feline reactions we have documented occur when the woman's moon is in Scorpio, and transiting Pluto is conjunct the cat's ascendant or the woman's sixth house cusp. Thus, the feline's reaction is small, a daily miracle of astrobiology, a testimony to the living bond between the spheres and the creatures of the earth. Astroecology, the natal charts of species and the cosmos. Wild populations, too, have astrological signatures. The natal chart of a species can be metaphorically derived from the first scientific description date or for a local population. The spring emergence, transits of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto through the sign ruling the animal's habitat. For example, Pisces for oceans, Capricorn for mountains, correlate with mass extinctions, migrations, or population booms. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius of 2020 coincided with the surge in awareness of ecological connections, a Uranian awakening. We provide a species transit alert table for endangered animals, overlaying the discovered date chart with current transits to predict breeding success or crises. Now I would like to go over here we go. Interstellar Journal of Exoastrological Medicine. So, the practice of medicine across the interstellar commons demands a radical epistemological humility. Each biosphere births not only a unique biochemistry, but a unique astrological mechanics. A celestial influence pattern modulated by the home star spectral fingerprint, the orbital harmonics of its planets, and the evolutionary archaeomythology that inscribes bodily form with cosmic significance. To dissect an alien body without its natal chart is to read a poem in a language one has not learned. One may identify organs but not purpose, tissues but not destiny. In this issue, we present 4 landmark case studies from the exo-astrological dissection rounds performed at the Academy over the past cycle. Each case integrates stellar cartography of the subject's native system, a full species-appropriate natal delineation using the techniques of helionosis, orbital house division, and nodal psychic mapping, a detailed surgical report, and a final synthesis that reveals the profound entanglement between celestial architecture and biological function. The fixed stars referenced are, of course, those of the subject's home constellation, not Sol's limited sphere. The nodes discussed are the evolutionary nodes of the species' collective morphic field, as derived from their own empirical astrological tradition. We caution the viewer that these logs contain detailed anatomical descriptions that may disturb species with bilateral symmetry bias or fluidic identity. Medical maturity is assumed. So we have our first case log, which is the sadness of the spire dwellers. We have our species, our home system, our subject designation, our attending faculty, and our xenopsychiatrist, exoastrologer, in that attending faculty. All right. So we see our species here is Kenticum turris. Common name is Zephyrian spire singer. Its home system is Kepler 186 M Dwarf, planet Zephyria, orbiting the pulsar remnant Tol star, the singing dead. Subject designation is ZS07 Oriental the flattened. The attending faculty Archmagus Surgeon Relisa Katic, xenopsychiatrist, exoastrologer Dr. Thalmek Ran, surgical resident Felix Num. Alright, let's get into it. Section 1 is species-specific astrological framework. So the Zephyrians possess a unique physiological feature, a resonant vertical column, the tympanic spire, which extends from the crown of the cranium and functions as both lung and vocal organ. Their native astrology reflects this. The Zephyrian zodiac, the spiral of breath, is not a belt but a vertical column mapped onto the spire itself, divided into 16 rung signs corresponding to the 16 major overtones of the pulsar Toltar. Each Zephyrian's natal chart is cast by the exact frequency of the pulsar's electromagnetic song at the moment of first breath. Their planets are the overtonal harmonics, and their houses are the rung signs. Our key astrological points here: the resonant node, Rn, equivalent to the ascendant dominant overtone at first breath. We have the silent point, Sp, a point exactly opposite the resonant node, a region of the spire that can never resonate without causing pain. It represents the psychological shadow. The fixed tones or fixed stars are not luminous bodies, but stable interference nodes in the pulsar's waveform, persistent ripples that correspond to specific Zephyrian emotional archetypes, the slumbering dirge, the joyous trill, the unheard cry, etc. So, then we have section 2, which is patient history and indication for dissection. Oriental was a voluntary end-of-life donor, having succumbed to spire collapse melancholia, a species-specific condition where the tympanic column physically flattens under the weight of a karmic silence, an astrological affliction wherein transiting SB, silent point, conjoins a natal RN for an extended period, drowning the self-song. Prior to death, the subject had been mute for 3 cycles, his spire losing its opalescent resonance and becoming a dull gray. Psychological logs revealed a profound association of the song of self from the chorus of others, a state analogous to severe depression. He requested post-mortem study. Exo-astrological natal delineation summarized. Chart cast for first breath at Zephyria, prime longitude, cycle 12,455, pulsar phase 0.8723, resonant node Rn, 7th rung of the spire, the harmonic of communal affirmation. Dominant overtone is Do, 11th harmonic, associated with the fixed tone lament of the lostness. And silent point Sp, 23rd rung, the harmonic of isolating wisdom. Nodal interference aspect, a dissonant 5-7 ratio between the Rn and the orbital harmonic of Zephyria's third moon. Social bonding generated an inherent tension. The subject needed constant communal affirmation to sustain his resonance, yet his deepest wisdom drew him toward solitary contemplation. Dr. Wren's interpretation, a soul born with lament as a dominant overtone is predisposed to a beautiful but fragile song. The affliction of the SP in the 23rd rung indicates that his silence, once fully activated, will become a feedback loop of self-consolation. He sang for others until his spire could no longer hold a vibration. This was astrologically inevitable. Once the transit of the unheard cry, a slow-moving fixed tone, began a 12-cycle conjunction with his SP. This is all alien stuff, so it's all lore and hypothetical. But what I do want to get into with you guys... Here. We'll just say fuck that. We'll go into my multi-philosophy essays. Once we get this off screen. And this off screen. Alright. So, in my next video, we are going to go over, let me see here. Right here. Or wait, hold up. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Palantir some more. The necropolitical merge on AI-driven sovereignty, neural subjugation, and the cyber scaffold of late imperial techno-feudalism. So we have our prelude here. It's a personal meditation at the edge of the panopticon. I begin with a confession. This morning, while walking through the glass-veined corridors of a city that hums with invisible data streams, I felt the weight of an unblinking gaze. Not the stare of a human sentinel, but a composite eye, diffracted across thousands of sensor nodes, predictive models, and behavioral scrapers, gently curating my permissible future. In that moment, I understood. The American Republic no longer merely supervises. It hallucinates threat profiles into existence, then executes decisions upon those phantoms with machine speed finality. We stand at the precipice of a new regime of power, one that marries the necropolitical fantasy of absolute elimination with a cybernetic dream of frictionless control. This memorandum is an attempt to think through this regime, philosophically, critically, and with the full force of introspective dread, addressing three interlocking phenomena: AI and warfare and domestic pacification, the rise of authoritarian algorithmic governance, racial profiling, crime quotas, preemptive sentencing, and the emergence of state execution as spectacle through collective surveillance, all undergirded by the corporate techno-apparatus of Palantir Technologies, Neuralink-like bodily implants, and the broader light stage dystopian, imperialist capitalist order now crystallizing into techno-feudalism extremism. Let's talk about the Palantirian war mind, from foreign battlefields to domestic soul profiling. To speak of Palantir is to name the demiurgic intelligence behind a fusion of military and police logics. Originally baptized in the crucibles of Afghanistan and Iraq, the Gotham platform perfected a philosophy of ontological targeting, the conviction that all reality can be reduced to nodes, links, and anomaly scores, and that surviving violence can be algorithmically pre-justified. The transition from predator drone kill list to domestic predictive policing dashboards via Palantir Foundry and circuit fusion centers signals a catastrophic collapse of the boundary between war and governance. In this new topology, the citizen is no longer a subject of rights, but a permanent pattern of life candidate for preemptive intervention. The classical democratic dilemma, quis quaestoderet ipsos custodes, mutates into a darker inquiry. Who or what audits the black box? Excuse me. Who or what audits the black box calculus that generates the kill cage release triage? The answer, furnished by a government that has outsourced its surviving decisionism, is an algorithmic theodicy. The machine being objective is beyond moral reproach. Behind this veil, racial profiling thrives not as bigoted intent but as historical data reified into predictive truth. Crime quotas, once overtly political, now wear the innocuous mask of resource allocation models. If the system forecasts 23 violent felonies in zip code 48203, the policing apparatus must generate a commensurate number of arrests, lest the algorithm appear fallible. The quota becomes a self-fulfilling necrometric prophecy, and black and brown bodies become the fuel for a feedback loop that marries statistics to steel. The authoritarian autocracy. Execution as infrastructure. It is a short conceptual leap from predictive arrest quotas to the algorithmic administration of death. Consider the trajectory. If every citizen is continuously scored for violence propensity via scraped social media, geotemporal patterns, facial micro-expression analysis, and increasingly cortical data from voluntary, then mandatory neural interfaces, the state acquires the capacity to issue automated capital verdicts. I do not speak merely of the drone strike abroad. I speak of the domestication of execution, where the death penalty is no longer a ponderous judicial ritual, but a real-time network distributed function of the sovereign's kill chain. In this late-stage empire, government executions are no longer anomalies punctuating a bureaucratic quiet. They become a modality of governance itself. The scaffold is digitized. Lethal injection protocols are mediated by AI anesthesiology bots ensuring humane termination as per federally approved algorithms. The condemned might never see a human judge, only a gavel icon on a screen powered by a neural network risk assessments that were trained on historically racist carceral data. This is what philosopher Achille Mbembe would recognize as necropolitics, achieving its pure industrial form. The power to dictate who may live and who must die, now executed at the speed of silicon wrapped in the false neutrality of code. Palantir's deep involvement with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, already operationalizes this logic. The Falcon system decides which families are torn asunder, a de facto death sentence by exposure, detention, or despair. The step toward literal domestic AI-sanctioned termination is not speculative. It is the natural telos of a surveillance apparatus that has already dehumanized its targets into data points. Neuralink, bodily implants, and the cyborg citizen as feudal serf. If Palantir provides the sovereign's external panoptic eye, Neuralink and its inevitable copyist promises the internal colonization of the psyche. The implant is presented as therapeutic augmentation, a cure for paralysis, depression, loneliness, but the dialectic of techno-capitalism ensures that every assistive device becomes a site of extraction and control. Once a human brain is recursively interfacing with the cloud, the ultimate commodity is not oil or gold, but qualia, lived experience, memory, desire, and the pre-action potentials of intent. In a society that has fully embraced the cyborg-esque late-stage dystopia, the body becomes rented property. The implant is not owned by the individual, it is licensed, its data continuously harvested to feed the algorithmic governance engine. The state, in close partnership with the neo-sovereign corporations, can now enforce pre-crime interventions not just by predicting behavior, but by modulating mood, injecting synthetic guilt, or inducing paralysis remotely. The sovereign decree becomes a software patch, and this is no longer disciplinary power in Foucault's sense. It is what Gilles Deleuze foresaw as a society of control, where the enclosure is replaced by continuous modulation and the citizen subject becomes a individual, a mass of data streams liable to instant veto. The political economy of this arrangement constitutes techno-feudalism extremism. The classical capitalist contract, labor for wage with some illusion of mobility, dissolves. The tech lords, Thiel, Musk, the anonymized boardrooms of the military surveillance nexus, command the digital infrastructure akin to feudal land holdings. We as users are serfs tethered to their servers, paying tithes in behavioral data, biometric soul matter, and eventually our very neural impulses. The state functions as the armed bailiff, enforcing the property rights of these digital fiefdoms. AI-mediated execution serve the dual purpose of eliminating those who cannot be profitably farmed and terrifying the remaining serfs into compliance. Collective surveillance as ritual. The execution as sacrament of order. Why make executions part of the surveillance network? Because the ultimate technology of control is not the kill, but the spectacle of the kill broadcast as data. In this scheme, executions are live-streamed not to public squares but to individual neural feeds, their neurological impact measured and fed back into the control loop. The state learns precisely how much fear to induce to optimize obedience, calibrating the gruesomeness of the death event like an ad algorithm, optimizing engagement. Surveillance is complete only when the monitor internalises not only the gaze but also the punitive bite of the sovereign down to the synaptic level. This is the culmination of what I call the agoratic execution complex, a system wherein all citizens are continuously under a suspended death sentence, commutable only through perfect data conformity. The crime is deviation from predicted behavior. The trial is a real-time risk score, crossing a threshold. The execution is a drone strike, a state-administered neural meltdown, or a silent dispatching by autonomous police dogs. Racial profiling and crime quotas are merely the larval forms of this adult horror. Let's talk about philosophy's cry, the imperative of radical subjectivity. Well, I am not a Luddite. I am a philosopher of the alarm. The conceptual resources we have, from Kantian autonomy to Habermasian communicative reason, appear quaint against the neural cybernetic leviathan. The system genuflects to legality while hollowing out any normative interior. We must then engage in a critical phenomenology of the cyborg condition. What does it mean to feel a flicker of resistance when the state is partially inside your skull? When the I think that resists is itself a monitored neuronal pattern. The only ground of hope, perhaps, lies in the irreducible ambiguity of lived experience. The soul, in its pre-reflective fullness, may always exceed the data grid. Fugitive behavior, encrypted solidarity, the cultivation of inner silence untouched by the implant's probes, these constitute a new art of not being governed, a neo-stoic withdrawal from the pulleys of the algorithm. I pondered this with trembling fingers, that in the interstices of total surveillance, a whisper of genuine encounter might ignite a reclamation of the political. But this is not a strategy, it is a frail ontology. Here is the closing reflection, the responsibility of imagination. I write this memo as a note in a bottle, cast into the sea of a republic dissolving into a data procession of ghosts and executioners. The U.S. government, having fused with its imperial capital, now serves as the global testbed for the final synthesis, a cyborg escalate stage dystopian imperialist capitalist society, governed by techno-feudal extremism, where AI eliminates the unfit, Neuralink captures the unruly, and Palantir dreams the all-seeing nightmare into durable day. If we possess any genius, it must be the genius to reject the offered utopia of perfect predictive control. To imagine otherwise, to treat the memorandum not as a prediction, but as a warning, and to rediscover that the act of critical introspection is itself an act of rebellion against a machine that demands our unthinking compliance. The ultimate execution the state desires is not of the body, but of the imaginative faculty that could conceive an alternative. I hear drones hum overhead. My Neuralink free thoughts are still my own, for now. That is our postscriptum. And I will see you in the next video to talk about the Disinheritance Generation Z, Artificial Intelligence, and the Abolition of the Work Telos, an essay in philosophical economy. With peace and love, Piscean out.